Hi guys and gals and kittens, and welcome to the AI Niro Magic Show. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Magic Cloud to document your software project. And I'm going to use Magic Cloud's documentation as a use case. You see this page, docs.ainiro.io. There's a link in the description of this YouTube video to where you can find it. It's actually a GitHub page based upon Jekyll, which basically just contains Markdown, right? And in fact, I can show you the code here if you want to. Here, polterguy.github.io. Of course, I'm using a CNAME record. And then you will see the Markdown files here. Here's the index page, right? Magic Cloud, blah, 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 Magic Cloud, or Magic for short. If I now go to this guy, right, then I see the same text. So what I did basically was that I went to machine learning. I created a new machine learning type, and then I imported here. I chose PDF text files, and then for some of the files, I chose to use summary prompt. For other files, I chose to ditch it. At the end, we are ending up with 436 training snippet. I had to do some manual massaging because some of the Markdown files were really, really long and contains the documentation for the entire project, such as, for instance, magic.lambda, which contains 100 slots or something plus. So I wanted to break it down, but I did everything basically 100% automatically. And here you can see the training data. So now let's try out the chatbot. Right here I am on the page. I haven't had an existing chat session with it previously in this session. Now, okay, so I can choose conversation starters here, or I can write any a question I want. I'm just going to choose how do I create an AI chatbot here. So as you can see, the system walks me through to create an AI chatbot using the tools provided by AI Niro. You can follow these steps. Configure Magic Cloud with your OpenAI key, right? And here it even links me to where I can create an OpenAI API key. And also it shows me, it talks about Google reCAPTCHA, which is optional, by the way. You don't need reCAPTCHA now because Magic has its own Magic CAPTCHA library, which is 5 kilobytes instead of 1.7 megabytes. And then can you show me screenshots of the process with description above each screenshot? Now let's see what it comes up with. So you can see now it basically repeats the same description, except it has screenshots, right? I can maximize it and stuff like that. So here you can see, first I need to configure my OpenAI API key. Then I need to optionally configure my Google reCAPTCHA site key and secret. Then it explains how I can scrape my website. We have millions of ways to actually upload training data. There's PDF, there's website scraping, there is manually creating training snippets, there's uploading text files, XML file, JSON, whatever you can imagine. This specific chatbot did not scrape the website. I need to emphasize that. I uploaded Markdown files, and I also had to apply some manual hyperlambda, but all in all, the process took me like 2-3 hours in total. And then, of course, I created a highly super specific system prompt. If we go here now, we look at the types here. We choose configure, you will see that this is a very, very detailed system prompt. It even explains parts of hyperlambda and the syntax and stuff like that. The reasons for that is because, of course, we have hyperlambda, which is a programming language, domain-specific programming language we have invented ourselves, which has a very, very weird syntax. So we kind of like need to teach OpenAI about this syntax, as if we want OpenAI to be able to explain hyperlambda to us. So now if I go back here you can see the screenshot. This is the embed screen where you can just copy the HTML button, right, and choose your theme and colors and stuff like that and paste it into your website. This is basically what I did when I embedded the chatbot onto this Jekyll Google page as website. And then you can see how to create a questionnaire. As you can see here now, we actually have a questionnaire. This is actually a questionnaire. Hi there, I'm Frank, I Niro's AI helper. I can answer questions, blah, blah. You see there are multiple messages coming here before I get to use the LLM. Well, that part is this questionnaire, show docs info, right? Here you can see 2 questions. So now I can continue asking follow-up questions, right? And here's a really kick-ass thing we've just recently been able to pull off. Can you show me a YouTube video of the process, right? Let's see now. Hopefully it's going to say certainly again. Doesn't always work. It is AI, right? So I mean, it's like 95% confident in its answers. And as you can see here now, it's actually embedding the YouTube iframe directly into the chatbot stream inline, allowing me to see how to configure your cloudlet, right? And now I can watch a YouTube video here if I want to about this specific process. Now, tell me about Hyperlambda. So the reasons why I'm creating this YouTube video is because I want to show you how good our technology is for software development projects or software projects to document software projects. Doesn't matter what software project you have. You might have a CRM or you might have a software development platform. And regardless of what software product you have, if you use an AI chatbot from Hero to actually document that software project, then you do some work on creating that initial chatbot initially. As I said, I spent 3-4 hours on creating this one. You're going to end up with kick-ass quality. And this is 100% correct. If I now, how do I create a slot in C#, right? It even generates code for me. And now it's going to provide me the boilerplate code to create my own Hyperlambda extendable C# based slot inheriting from iSlot and all that beautiful stuff. C# using magic node, signals contract, and here comes the code. So of course it's not formatted correctly because it still haven't seen the end of the pre-tag. Now, if I maximize this such that we can have a look at it, you can see here using magic node, contracts, my namespace. The only thing it doesn't quite provide yet is syntax highlighting. I'm going to actually add that. And as you can see here, it takes 2 arguments, right? arg1, arg2, and it adds them, and then it returns the value of that. And then it clears the children collection of the input node. And this allowing me to use it like this, right? At which point afterwards, the result's going to be 15. Now, if I tell it I want to create a C# slot that invokes hubspot.com and transforms hubspot.api.customers and transforms the result into a JSON and returns as a node collection. Hopefully this is going to work. So now I'm basically telling the system to create a C# slot for me that like invokes some URL and transforms the result into a JSON and returns as a node collection. Hopefully this is going to work. I'm not entirely sure, but it's going to be close enough for me to still nonetheless be able to start up with this code and actually test it and maybe modify it in order to like, you know, fix bugs in it. Here you can see it takes a HTTP client dependency injection. That is correct. That's the way we do things. HubSpot customers, that's the name of my slot. Here's the name of my class. It implements iSlot, which has one method, signal async. And then it, actually, I think it should be inheriting from iSlot async. I can't completely remember, in fact, to be honest. But here it awaits for the response from hubspot.com/API customers. Then it reads it as a string, JSON token parse. Yeah, then it uses Newtonsoft here to parse, and then it converts JSON to a nodes collection. It seems correct. Let's have a look at these helper methods to see what they do. JObject, well, ish. We do have helper methods and slots to automatically convert from JSON to Lambda. I'd probably rather want to use those. But I think this is like technically close to correct, if not entirely correct. You could probably use this code. And then it explains the code, convert JSON to nodes, and etc. So tell me about Hyper ID. Now, I need to emphasize Magic Cloud is a super rich software development platform with its own unique programming language. I don't care what software you're documenting, unless you're documenting .NET Core or something, there's no way in hell your software project is more complex than this, right? So, I mean, this is like the upper Mount Everest point of complexity when it comes to software development, software projects, right? So this would probably be a better use case, more accurately describing what you'd typically be using it for. Right here you can see, okay, HyperID is blah, blah, blah. Now let's, and as you can see, it shows screenshots, then again, it shows YouTube videos. Tell me how does it compare to SQL Studio, right? So now I'm asking how it compares to SQL Studio, which is another component. As you can see, here is HyperID, right? And here is SQL Studio. They are obviously two different components. One is for managing your databases, and the other one is for managing your HyperLambda files. And as you can see here, they're both components of the Magic Platform, but they serve different purposes and use HyperID purpose, web-based integrated development environment. SQL Studio, web-based SQL workbench that allows developers to visually design database, execute SQL, and blah, blah, blah. Key differences: focus, language support, integration, development stage, right? So it provides a highly accurate description of the differences. And the crucial point here is, how does it compare to SQL Studio? Is now the subject of the conversation up here is HyperID, right? So when I ask how does it compare to SQL Studio, it needs to know the subject, so it needs to be able to hold conversations about one particular subject and remember what we spoke about in the previous messages, etc., etc. And it does so perfectly here, right? Which is, of course, a key aspect of our AI chatbot technology. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me show you the documentation page. Here you can see how to get started if you have access to the source code. You don't, the Magic is not open source. Here you can see the documentation for HyperID, for instance, blah, 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 with screenshots, YouTube videos. And basically the AI chatbot is using the same information as the information that exists on these pages, right? So if you have super high quality documentation for your software project, you can create a super high quality AI chatbot that actually guides users through the process of using your software. And that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.